Welcome to BareMetalCyber, the podcast that bridges cybersecurity and education in a way that's engaging, informative, and practical. Each week we dive into pressing cybersecurity topics, explore real-world challenges, and break down actionable advice to help you navigate today's digital landscape. If you're enjoying this episode, visit BareMetalCyber.com, where over 2 million people last year explored cybersecurity insights, resources, and expert content. You'll also find my books covering key cybersecurity topics. Ransomware Warfare: Advanced Tactics for Ransomware Response. Ransomware has evolved from a nuisance to a full-scale business disruptor, forcing organizations to rethink their security strategies and incident response plans. Modern ransomware operators use sophisticated tactics, from double extortion schemes to ransomware-as-a-service models, making attacks more frequent and devastating. Understanding how these attacks unfold, from initial access through phishing or unpatched vulnerabilities to the negotiation tactics used by cybercriminals, is essential for mounting an effective defense. Preparation is key, with proactive measures such as network segmentation, endpoint security, and robust backup strategies, reducing the risk of falling victim. When an attack does occur, organizations must act swiftly, isolating infected systems, assessing damage, engaging law enforcement, and considering whether negotiation is a viable option. Even after recovery, strengthening defenses and improving response plans is crucial to preventing future incidents. This chapter explores the full ransomware lifecycle, from attack to resolution, equipping organizations with the knowledge and tactics needed to fight back. Understanding the ransomware threat landscape. Ransomware has evolved dramatically from its early days of crude encryption schemes demanding small payments, to today's sophisticated ransomware-as-a-service operations. In the past, attackers relied on simple, opportunistic malware that locked users out of their systems until a ransom was paid. Modern ransomware groups operate more like organized businesses, offering RaaS platforms that enable even low-skilled cybercriminals to launch devastating attacks with ease. One of the most troubling advancements is the rise of double extortion tactics, where attackers not only encrypt files but also steal sensitive data, threatening to leak it if the ransom isn't paid. This shift has placed additional pressure on victims, as refusing to pay now comes with the risk of public exposure, regulatory fines, and lasting reputational damage. Some groups even target specific industries, such as healthcare and finance, where downtime can be life-threatening or lead to severe financial and regulatory consequences. Adding another layer of complexity, attackers use cryptocurrency for payments, making transactions difficult to trace and allowing ransomware groups to operate with relative anonymity. Cybercriminals have mastered the art of breaking into networks, relying on a handful of common attack vectors that continue to exploit human and technical vulnerabilities. Phishing remains the top method for delivering ransomware, as attackers craft deceptive emails that lure users into clicking malicious links or opening weaponized attachments. Exploiting unpatched software vulnerabilities is another favored approach, as organizations often struggle to keep up with security updates, leaving gaps that attackers can easily exploit. Remote desktop protocol is a particularly attractive target for ransomware operators, as poorly secured remote desktop protocol connections provide a direct gateway into an organization's network. Supply chain attacks have also become a growing concern, with cybercriminals infiltrating trusted software providers or third-party vendors to distribute ransomware to multiple victims at once. These methods highlight the importance of a proactive security posture, as even a single lapse in security hygiene can provide attackers with the foothold they need. Ransomware is no longer the domain of lone hackers. Today it is driven by highly organized groups, some operating with the resources of full-fledged businesses. These ransomware syndicates function like corporations, complete with customer support teams, affiliate programs, and negotiation playbooks designed to maximize profits. Nation-state-backed ransomware campaigns further complicate the landscape, as certain governments either directly sponsor or turn a blind eye to cybercriminal groups operating within their borders. These state-aligned actors often have different motivations beyond financial gain, using ransomware as a tool for espionage, disruption, or political leverage. The tactics of ransomware groups are also evolving rapidly, with some shifting from broad, opportunistic attacks to highly targeted campaigns that exploit specific weaknesses in an organization's infrastructure. Unlike random, scattershot attacks of the past, these targeted breaches are meticulously planned, often involving weeks or months of reconnaissance before ransomware is deployed. The consequences of a ransomware attack extend far beyond the immediate loss of data and system access, striking at the very core of an organization's stability. The financial toll can be staggering, with companies facing costs from downtime, forensic investigations, ransom payments, and system restoration efforts. Beyond direct expenses, the reputational damage can be even more devastating, as customers lose trust in an organization's ability to protect their data. Regulatory bodies are also taking a stricter stance, with many jurisdictions imposing heavy fines for data breaches, particularly when sensitive customer information is exposed. The long-term disruption to business continuity is another critical factor, as even after systems are restored, organizations often struggle with operational delays, lost productivity, and lingering security concerns. Ransomware is not just an IT issue. It is a full-scale business crisis, and without a well-planned response strategy, its impact can be catastrophic. Preparation and prevention against ransomware. A robust backup strategy is the cornerstone of ransomware resilience, ensuring that organizations can recover their data without bowing to extortion demands. The 3-2-1 backup rule, keeping 3 copies of data on 2 different media types with 1 stored offsite, remains a best practice for safeguarding critical information. However, backups are only useful if they actually work when needed, making regular testing and verification of restoration processes essential. Limited backups add another layer of protection by preventing attackers from modifying or deleting stored data, ensuring an uncompromised copy remains intact. To further secure backups, organizations should store them in ransomware-resistant environments, such as offline or air-gapped storage solutions, minimizing the risk of infection in case of an attack. Network segmentation and access controls create barriers that limit an attacker's ability to move freely within an environment once they gain a foothold. Critical systems and sensitive data should be isolated from less secure parts of the network, reducing exposure and making lateral movement more difficult for attackers. The principle of least privilege should guide access policies, ensuring that users and applications have only the minimum permissions necessary to perform their task. A zero-trust architecture further strengthens defenses by continuously verifying identity and device health before granting access to resources, making it significantly harder for intruders to escalate privileges. Remote access points, particularly those using remote desktop protocol and VPNs, should be fortified with multi-factor authentication to prevent unauthorized access through stolen credentials or brute force attacks. Endpoint and email security play a critical role in stopping ransomware before it takes hold, as these are the primary entry points for most attacks. Advanced endpoint detection and response solutions provide real-time monitoring and analysis, detecting and stopping malicious activity before ransomware can execute. Email filtering systems act as a frontline defense against phishing attempts, blocking suspicious attachments, links, and sender domains before they ever reach an end user's inbox. Despite technological defenses, human error remains a major vulnerability, making regular user training on phishing awareness and social engineering tactics a necessity. Monitoring endpoints for indicators of compromise, such as unusual file encryption activity or unauthorized privilege escalation, provides early warning signs that an attack may be underway. Proactive threat hunting and vulnerability management ensure that security teams stay ahead of attackers by identifying weaknesses before they can be exploited. Keeping systems patched and updated is one of the simplest yet most effective ways to reduce an organization's attack surface. As ransomware operators frequently target known vulnerabilities, regular scans for open ports and misconfigurations help identify gaps that could be exploited for initial access or lateral movement within a network. Security teams should also continuously monitor for signs of ransomware tools in the environment, such as the presence of known ransomware executables or suspicious PowerShell activity. Collaboration with threat intelligence providers allows organizations to stay informed on emerging ransomware tactics, techniques, and indicators, strengthening their ability to anticipate and counter evolving threats. Ransomware Incident Response Framework. When ransomware strikes, immediate action is critical to contain the damage and prevent further spread. The first priority is to isolate infected systems by disconnecting them from the network. preventing the ransomware from propagating to additional devices. Accounts associated with the attack, especially those showing signs of unauthorized access, must be disabled to block further compromise. Remote access points, such as VPNs or remote desktop protocol connections, should be shut down or resecured to prevent attackers from regaining entry. At this stage, the incident response team must be activated, following predefined playbooks to ensure a coordinated and effective response. Leadership and key stakeholders must be informed promptly, providing them with an initial assessment of the situation while ensuring that response efforts are aligned across the organization. Understanding the full scope of a ransomware attack requires thorough assessment of the damage inflicted on systems and data. Security teams must identify which files have been encrypted, pinpointing the extent of the attack and determining which systems are compromised. Identifying the specific ransomware variant involved is crucial, as different strains may have unique decryption options, known weaknesses, or require specific mitigation strategies. Beyond encryption, the risk of data exfiltration must be assessed. Modern ransomware operators often steal data before locking systems, leveraging it as additional blackmail. Investigators must also map the attacker's path through the network, tracing how they gained entry, what privileges they escalated, and where they moved laterally, providing essential insights for both containment and future prevention. Engaging with law enforcement and regulatory bodies can be a delicate but necessary part of ransomware response. Organizations must comply with all legal and regulatory reporting requirements, particularly if sensitive customer information has been exposed. Care must be taken to avoid any actions that might interfere with an active investigation, such as modifying logs or communicating directly with attackers in a way that could compromise evidence. Sharing indicators of compromise and attack tactics with the broader cybersecurity community is highly encouraged, as it helps others strengthen their defenses while also improving collective intelligence on ransomware threats. Communication during a ransomware attack requires a carefully managed strategy to maintain trust while preventing panic. Internal and external messaging must be coordinated to ensure clarity, providing employees with clear guidance while keeping customers informed as appropriate. It is critical to control how information is disclosed, particularly regarding ransom payment decisions, as public statements can influence attacker behavior and impact negotiation. Employees must be briefed on the importance of maintaining operational security, avoiding speculation or leaks that could undermine the response effort. In many cases, organizations benefit from working with third-party crisis communication specialists who can navigate the complexities of public relations, legal considerations, and regulatory compliance, while preserving the company's reputation. Negotiation strategies with ransomware actors. Deciding whether to engage in ransom negotiations is one of the most difficult decisions an organization will face after an attack. Paying the ransom may seem like the fastest way to regain access to critical data, but it comes with significant risks, including the possibility that the attackers will not honor their word or will strike again in the future. Organizations must first assess whether encrypted data can be recovered through other means, such as backups or decryption tools for known ransomware strains. In some jurisdictions, paying a ransom may also have legal implications, as governments have imposed restrictions on transactions with certain cybercriminal groups. Consulting with legal advisors and cybersecurity experts is essential before making any decision, as they can provide guidance on the risks, potential penalties, and alternative recovery options. Handling negotiations with ransomware actors is a delicate process that requires expertise, strategy, and anonymity. Many organizations turn to ransomware response firms that specialize in these high-stakes negotiations, as their experience can help minimize the amount paid or even delay demands long enough to explore recovery options. Professional negotiators act as intermediaries, reducing direct engagement with attackers and preventing organizations from making emotional decisions under pressure. Keeping communication anonymous is crucial to avoid providing attackers with useful intelligence, such as the victim's financial standing or willingness to pay. Every interaction must also be meticulously documented, ensuring that forensic investigators and legal teams have a complete record of events for compliance and future analysis. Ransomware negotiations require a methodical, emotionless approach to maximize the chances of a favorable outcome. Engaging with cybercriminals can be frustrating, but responding aggressively or emotionally can escalate demands or even cause attackers to cut off communication. Organizations should always request proof that the decryption tool works before making any payments, as some groups have been known to provide faulty or partial decryptors. Payment terms and timelines should be carefully negotiated to provide additional time for security teams to explore alternative recovery solutions or for law enforcement to intervene. Even if a ransom is paid, there is no certainty that all encrypted files will be restored, and in some cases, victims have been retargeted by the same group. Once a negotiation concludes, careful steps must be taken to ensure that data recovery proceeds securely and that the attackers do not retain access. Any provided decryptor must be tested on a limited subset of files before full restoration begins, preventing further corruption or secondary infections. If the attackers promised to delete exfiltrated data as part of the deal, verification should be attempted, though trust in their assurances should remain low. Continuous monitoring is critical, as ransomware groups have been known to leave backdoors that allow them to return for future extortion attempts. If a payment was made, reporting it to the relevant authorities may be required by law, and in any case, organizations should share intelligence with cybersecurity communities to help prevent future attacks. Restoration and post-incident improvements. Recovering from a ransomware attack requires a structured approach to ensure that critical systems and data are restored efficiently and securely. The recovery process should begin by prioritizing the most essential systems, such as those supporting business operations, financial transactions, or customer services, to minimize downtime and disruption. Before fully restoring data, each system must be validated to ensure the integrity of recovered files and confirm that no corruption occurred during decryption or restoration. To prevent reinfection, thorough scans should be conducted to verify that no malware remnants or backdoors remain hidden within the network. Once systems are confirmed to be clean and functional, they should be reconnected to the network gradually rather than all at once, to monitor for any unexpected anomalies or lingering threats. Understanding how the ransomware attack unfolded is essential for strengthening defenses and preventing future incidents. Conducting a root cause analysis helps identify the initial attack vector, whether it was a phishing email, an unpatched vulnerability, or compromised credentials. Logs, forensic artifacts, and network activity should be meticulously reviewed to pinpoint security gaps that allowed the attackers to infiltrate the environment and escalate privileges. Documenting lessons learned from the incident provides a valuable reference for refining security strategies and improving response procedures. Organizations should also consider sharing their findings with industry peers, cybersecurity communities, and computer emergency response teams to contribute to collective intelligence and help others defend against similar tactics. A ransomware attack should serve as a catalyst for reinforcing cybersecurity measures and improving organizational resilience. Incident response plans must be updated to incorporate new insights gained from the attack, ensuring that future responses are faster and more effective. Backup and recovery procedures should be enhanced, including more frequent testing, off-site storage, and the use of immutable backups to prevent tampering. Additional security measures such as security orchestration, automation, and response platforms and zero-trust architecture can further harden defenses by reducing attacker dwell time and restricting unauthorized access. Employees should undergo additional training focused on ransomware awareness, helping them recognize social engineering tactics and understand their role in preventing future breaches. Building resilience against ransomware requires a proactive approach that goes beyond a one-time fix. Organizations must routinely test their ransomware response playbooks through tabletop exercises and simulated attacks to assess readiness and identify areas for improvement. Conducting full-scale ransomware simulations allows security teams to practice containment, eradication, and recovery procedures under realistic conditions. Allocating resources for continuous security improvements ensures that defenses evolve alongside emerging threats, whether through hiring cybersecurity specialists, investing in advanced detection technologies, or enhancing endpoint protection. Establishing partnerships with cybersecurity service providers such as managed detection and response firms or external incident response teams provides an added layer of support when dealing with complex and evolving ransomware threats. Conclusion: Ransomware is a relentless and evolving threat that demands a proactive, strategic approach to defense, response, and recovery. Organizations that invest in strong preventive measures, such as network segmentation, endpoint security, and robust backup strategies, stand a better chance of mitigating the impact of an attack before it brings operations to a halt. When ransomware does strike, a swift and well-coordinated incident response is crucial, from isolating infected systems and assessing damage to engaging law enforcement and considering negotiation strategies. However, recovery does not end with decrypting files. Organizations must conduct thorough forensic analysis, strengthen security gaps, and continuously refine their response plans to stay ahead of emerging threats. The fight against ransomware is ongoing, but with a well-prepared strategy, businesses can reduce risk, limit disruption, and build resilience against future attacks. Thanks for tuning into this episode of BareMetalCyber. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to subscribe and share it. You can find all my latest content, including newsletters, podcasts, articles, and books at BareMetalCyber.com. Join the growing community and explore the insights that reached over 2 million people last year. Your support keeps this community thriving, and I truly appreciate every listen, follow, and share. Until next time, stay safe. Knowledge is power.